Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is April 22nd, 2025, and Barcelona just defeated Mallorca with an overwhelming performance. 40 shots attempted by Barcelona for a 1-0 victory and three very, very, very important points ahead of the Copa del Rey final. This is the post-match live analysis. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. We're starting a little bit late today because I was at work all day, so I had to come home from the office. But now I'm here. I'm ready to analyze today's match. And, of course, I'm ready to read all of your comments in the chat section. So if you haven't commented yet, make sure you do. I would love to see what you guys' thoughts and opinions are in regards to today's match. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kid Bag, or Fanatics. If you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's start talking about the match because today, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona completely overwhelmed Mallorca with a total of 40 shots. 40 shots. And Barcelona took home three very important points ahead of the Copa del Rey final this weekend with a score of 1-0, a score that's incredibly deceiving because if you see the score and you didn't watch the match, you'd think, wow, this is a match that probably Barcelona struggled. This is a match where Barcelona barely won 1-0, and that was not the case. That was not the case whatsoever. This was total domination by Barcelona. I mean, it looked like Barcelona were playing against a fourth, maybe even a fifth division team. And this is not to knock down Mallorca. It's not that Mallorca were that bad, but that's how good Barcelona were. Barcelona were so incredibly dominating that they made Mallorca look like a fourth, fifth division team. And again, this is not a knock on Mallorca. This is just a props to how well Barcelona played and how much they dominated the match. In fact, Mallorca's first shot did not come until the 54th minute. I know because I was actually paying attention when the shot came. I looked at the timer. It was like, I think it was 52 and a half or 53 and a half, but something around there. So first shot by Mallorca was not till the 54th minute because Barcelona were completely camped out in Mallorca's half up until the 54th minute. I mean, it was so bad. Barcelona were dominating so well that Szczesny could have easily went into the locker room, smoked a pack of cigarettes, took a nap, watched TV, made love to his wife, came back, and he wouldn't have missed anything. The scoreline would have been 0 for Mallorca because Barcelona were absolutely dominating. Now, Mallorca maybe would have had a couple of chances. One of them was a goal that was ruled offside, but besides that, it was the Barcelona show. Barcelona were circulating the ball really quickly. First touch passes, generating chance after chance after chance. 40 shots total. And I think it was something like 12 or 13 saves by Mallorca's goalkeeper, which is now a record for the most saves during this season. And the only reason Mallorca did not end up leaving this match completely thrashed with a 0-5 or 5-0 or 6-0 scoreline is because Barcelona missed a lot of those chances. It was one of those matches where the ball simply did not want to go in. And it wasn't because Barcelona were not doing their job or because Barcelona were not playing well or because the players were not doing a job. I think the team played great. However, sometimes this happens. Sometimes you try, and the ball just doesn't want to go in. The ball hits the post, the goalkeeper saves it, there's another defender say. Sometimes this happens. We saw it in December when we played against Atletico Madrid. We played 10 times better than Atletico Madrid, but unfortunately, the ball did not want to go in, and Atletico Madrid ended up beating us 1-2. Today, same thing. I think the team was absolutely dominating. We were a million times better than Mallorca. We generated a million chances. Unfortunately, the ball did not want to go in. But fortunately, this was not a defeat. We won 1-0. We took home three very important points. And this victory is very important. And this is why. Not only, obviously, it's important because we get 3 points and we're that much closer to winning La Liga, but this was also very important because we're not going to play the league for another 2 weeks. right? We have the Copa del Rey match this weekend against Real Madrid. Then we have or I guess week and a half. Then we have the Champions League. And then we go back to La Liga. So this is really good. This is a good way to put La Liga aside and focus on Copa del Rey and Champions League without having to think about our position or our table or our points, right? Because we did our job today. We got 3 points. Now we're 7 points ahead of Real Madrid. Now the pressure is all on Real Madrid, who have to play tomorrow against against Getafe. So Barcelona can go to sleep without any worries, knowing that at least we have a 4-point lead. Obviously, if Real Madrid lose tomorrow, it becomes a 7-point lead. If they draw tomorrow, it becomes a 6-point lead. But Barcelona know that their job for now is done in La Liga. They can focus on the Copa del Rey. They can focus on the Champions League. And this is why this victory is very important. Also, why this victory is incredibly, incredibly important is because we rotated a lot. We heavily, heavily rotated. And this is very important because the team is going to be fresh for this weekend. Besides Íñigo, Pedri, and Lamine, every position was rotated. And this is very, very important. And this is very important, the fact that Hansi Flick has been able to create a bench out of the bench that he already had, right? We always said Barcelona doesn't have a deep enough bench. Well, Flick was able to create a deeper bench, not by signings, not by Laporta and Deco going out there and bringing 5-6 signings and be like, all right, here you have a bench. No, but by extracting the best out of all his players. And this has allowed Flick to rotate. Today, he did it heavily, and the team still worked out. And again, this is huge props to Hansi Flick, who has created a system, who has created an identity for a team where it doesn't matter who's on the field, it still works, right? It doesn't matter if it's Frenkie de Jong or whether it's Gabi. It doesn't matter if it's Olmo or Fermin. It doesn't matter if it's Araujo or Pau Garcia or Íñigo. It still works. And this props to Hansi Flick, who has been able to create this system where no matter who's on the field works, which allowed us today to rotate. And this will allow many of the players to arrive fresh, well-rested to the Copa del Rey final, which will be a huge plus for us. And finally, why this victory was very, very important, besides the fact that now we can, focus on the Copa del Rey and Champions League, besides the fact that we were able to rotate, so our players are going to be rested, also the mental part. I think Barcelona needed a match where they can recover that sense, that sensation of being able to flow, of being able to play well. Because after a series of bad matches, it was starting to worry me a bit, right? We had a bad match against Real Betis, Leganés, second leg of Dortmund, even Celta Vigo. Despite the epic comeback, it was still those matches left me with lots of bad sensations. Today, the team was able to rediscover their form, to rediscover their flow, to rediscover their identity. And again, this is very, very important ahead of the Copa del Rey match. So now the team's going to go into that match well-rested, knowing that La Liga is safe for now and having rediscovered their form, their flow, their identity, and will be ready to face off Real Madrid and hopefully another thrashing and another trophy to add to our cabinet. So today, despite the million misses, 40 shots, only 1 goal, I'm incredibly, incredibly happy with the team's performance, happy with the result. And let's talk about the players, because there is a lot to be said about the formation. Because as I said, Flick rotated heavily today, and this is what the team looked like. Obviously, Szczesny, the goalkeeper, doesn't change. Szczesny in goal. Ronald Araujo in the place of Pau Cubarsí, given Cubarsí rest ahead of the weekend's match next to Íñigo Martínez. Héctor Fort, that was very surprising to me, especially what happened with the whole, how he was upset, etc. But Héctor Fort coming in for Gerard Martin. And what also surprising is that Héctor Fort was playing on the left. Héctor Fort is actually a right back, but he played on the left. Eric Garcia on the right. Another surprise for me, not because he's playing as a fullback, because Eric Garcia has actually played as a left back when he played for Girona, but the fact that he was played on the right? You have Héctor Fort, who's a right back, playing on the left. You have Eric Garcia, who's played as a left back, playing on the right. So 2 surprises there. We'll talk about their individual performance in a little bit. Gabi taking the place of Frenkie de Jong to give Frenkie de Jong some rest. Ansu Fati, this was huge. This was a big, big surprise because not only he got minutes, but he started. Something that is very surprising because Ansu Fati for many matches wasn't even included on the squad list. And then he went from not included to the squad list to being started. Dani Olmo expected, obviously, in the attacking midfield, Lamine Yamal and Ferran Torres, which, of course, I did expect in the place of Robert Lewandowski. Now, let's talk about some players. I do want to talk about some players, starting with Eric Garcia, because today, ladies and gentlemen, masterclass by Eric Garcia in the right back position, which again is a position he's never played in. He's played as a center back, he's played as a defensive midfield, he's played as a left back, never as a right back. And today, Eric Garcia was phenomenal defensively and offensively. His crosses were lethal, his runs were deep. I mean, he was absolutely amazing today. And today, I did not miss Jules Koundé. And I say that in a good way. I'm not trying to knock down Jules Koundé, but this is to give props to Eric Garcia because he did such a good job that it didn't seem like Jules Koundé was not on the field. So amazing job by Eric Garcia. And again, this, for the people who always used to ask me, what do you see in Eric Garcia? He's garbage. He's trash. We should tell him. This is what I saw. A player who's incredibly versatile and who can do his job in different positions. The problem is under Xabi, he wasn't getting minutes. So he was never able to showcase what he was capable of. The few minutes that he did get were so far apart. He was, every time he played him, of course, he wasn't to his best because he was out of form. He was out of, he wasn't in that competitive rhythm. And now we're seeing what he's capable of. He can play as a center back, defensive midfield, right back. He can do the job. And today he did it phenomenally well. And this is why you can see why Hansi Flick wants to keep Eric. This is why Hansi Flick blocked Eric Garcia's exit during this winter transfer market, where he was very close to going on loan for Girona. And Flick said, absolutely not. I want you. I need you. You need to stay. He blocked his exit and then told the club, you need to renew this guy whose contract expires in 2026. And today we saw why. Phenomenal job by Eric Garcia. Now, from the right back, we move to the left back. So we talk about Hector Fort, because today Hector Fort match was a good match. Today was a good match, and let's not forget, he's actually a right back by trade. He played on the left, and he had a good match despite being on the opposite side where he's used to playing. Overall, I have to say this. I can see why Flick chooses Gerard Martin over Hector Fort. Now, hear me out. Skill-wise, talent-wise, Hector Fort is a million, trillion, gazillion, billion times better than Gerard Martin. No doubt about it. He's much, much, much more skilled. But you can see that Hector Fort is still a little bit green. And what do I mean by that? He still needs more experience. He still needs more maturing. You can see it in a decision that he makes. You can see how sometimes he loses focus. You can see how sometimes he gets a little disconnected from the match. We saw it during the second half. Flick was constantly like calling out to him, like, hey, pay attention. Hey, focus. Hey, stay engaged. And that's just lack of experience. So I can see why Flick opts for Gerard Martin now, because Gerard Martin obviously is older. He's 22, as to I think Hector Fort is 17. So obviously Gerard Martin, being older, having played longer, is a more mature player. And that's why I think Flick chooses Martin over Hector Fort. Again, Hector Fort, a million times better than Gerard Martin, but he's still a little green. And I think with a little more time, a little more minutes, a little more experience, I have no doubt Hector Fort is going to take the spot of Gerard Martin a million times over, but not right now, because he's still a little bit green. But nonetheless, very happy with his match. He had a really, really good match, and especially offensively. He's still a little bit soft defensively, but again, this just has to do with, his lack of experience, his lack of playing time. And also, by the way, this highlights how important Alejandro Balde is, because here we have Gerard Martin. He's good defensively, terrible offensively. Here we have Hector Fort, great offensively, not so much defensively. And then we have Balde, who can do both, right? So this highlights the importance of Balde. This highlights the potential, the immense, immense potential that Hector Fort has. But for me, he needs a little bit more experience, a little bit more maturing. More players I want to talk about. Gabi. Today, I really, 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 really liked Gabi in that position that he played. Usually, Gabi's being given minutes in the attacking midfield position in the place of Olmo or Fermin. Today, he played in the place of Frankie de Jong, and I really, really liked Gabi there. He was really good as a holding midfielder, helping with defensive duties, coming back, tracking back and helping mark the Mallorca attackers. building from the back, making runs from the second line, and most importantly, because he was staying back to hold the midfield, that allowed Pedri the more freedom to make forward runs. I really, really, really like Gabi next to Pedri, and I think that this is a very good position for Gabi, and we have a really good alternative for Frankie. If Frankie needs to be rested, injured, God forbid, suspended, whatever, I think Gabi is a very, very valid option in the place of Frankie de Jong next to Pedri. I liked him there more than when Flick plays him in the attacking midfield position. Olmo. Guys, what a shame that this guy gets injured. What a shame that this guy gets injured, because Olmo's ability to change the course of a match is like no other. This guy in 1 second, one split second, can completely change the course of a match. We saw it against Celta Vigo. We're down 1-3. He comes in within seconds. He scores Barca's second goal and ignites Barcelona's comeback. Today, Barcelona are struggling to score a goal. Just like that, he scores Barcelona's only goal. It's an absolute shame that this guy keeps getting injured because, again, his ability to change the course of a match is unmatched. Also, the way he reads the plays, the way he makes his runs, the way he positions himself, his field awareness is incredible. His football IQ is incredible. And again, it's an absolute shame that he gets injured, because if this guy stayed healthy for most of the season, I mean, he would be a game changer for Barcelona. It wouldn't be just Lamine or just Rafinha. We would also have Olmo. 3 players that can, maybe more Lamine and Olmo than Rafinha, but 3 players who can change the course of a match. And I really hope that Barcelona's medical staff and trainers can do with Olmo what they did with Pedri, which is they did the genetic testing. They came up with a whole nutrition plan, special training plan that helped Pedri avoid injuries. They're doing that with Olmo. Hopefully it works, because I'm telling you, when this guy is healthy, he's an absolute beast. He's one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe. Who else I want to talk about? Ansu Fati. I know you're all waiting for this, because Ansu Fati, for the first time, he got his start. So what did I think about Ansu Fati? Good match. That's it. It wasn't a great match. It wasn't a terrible match. It was an okay match. If I were to give it a score, 6.5, 7. You know, I wasn't disappointed, but I also wasn't wowed. I was like, wow, Ansu Fati, he's amazing. I think Ansu Fati, attacking wise, he can still read the play really well. He can still make the right runs. He can still position himself well as far as the attack. But what does he lack is intensity. And this is something that Flick has been complaining about a lot. This is why Flick hasn't been including him in matches or giving him minutes, because the reports are that Flick sees Ansu lacks a lot of intensity in training. We saw it today on the field. Ansu never tracks back to help with the defense. Ansu never helps. Like when Barca lose the ball, you don't see him immediately run and try to apply pressure on Mallorca's players to recover the ball. He doesn't do that. You know, he'll explode when Barcelona are attacking, and he'll make runs, or he'll explode with the ball. But after that, once the attack is over, it's kind of like, all right, my job is done. I'm just going to chill back and just wait for the team to get the ball back and pass it to me, right? And in Hansi Flick's team, that just doesn't work, right? Flick expects all his 11 players, well, 10 players, I guess, without the goalkeeper, to be constantly playing with full intensity, either constantly attacking or constantly running to recover the ball so they can start attacking again. And Ansu doesn't do that. Again, I'm not disappointed with his minutes. I think these are the best minutes he's had all season. He's played the best minutes he's had all season. But again, I wasn't wowed. Would I start him again? I don't think so. I think his lack of intensity definitely does not earn him a starting spot, but I would give him more minutes in other matches. Maybe, against weaker opponents. Maybe if La Liga, if we still have a good lead on Madrid and we need to rest players so we can focus on the Champions League, maybe can give Ansu some minutes there, but definitely lacks intensity. And I can see why Flick has not been relying on him too much. Ferran Torres. I think my concern with Ferran Torres is still the same concern that I've said over and over again. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing the same concern. I think Ferran Torres can only give you 20 good 20, 30 minutes. That's it. And then he kind of disappears. That's why Ferran Torres has been a super sub, because when he comes off the bench, he plays only 20, 30 minutes, scores a goal. Amazing. We all love it. We all celebrate it. But when he starts, he just cannot give you a full great 90 minutes. He gives you good 20, 30, maybe 35 max. And then after that, he kind of just starts disappearing into the match. And that's a little bit concerning, right? Because Lewandowski is injured. We need someone who can substitute Lewandowski for the entire 90 minutes, not the entire 20, 30 minutes. So I think Flick is going to have to go back between Ferran and Dani Olmo as a false nine. Because Ferran, again, great sub, great off the bench. He really worries me when he plays more than 20, 30 minutes. Finally, Pedri. I'm honestly lost for words. I have no words to say about this guy because another masterclass by Pedri. Another masterclass by Pedri. This guy is absolute magic. Watching Pedri is watching a symphony. It's watching a painter paint an amazing painting. It's watching a composer writing a beautiful symphony. It's watching an actor put on his best performance ever on live theater. It's pure magic. There's nothing like it. And what the best thing about Pedri is that he's been giving us these masterclasses time and time again. And that's very difficult, right? Players can have, good matches, and then boom, give you a great match, and then another 2, 3 good matches, then another great match. No, this guy, every match, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And today he won the MVP again. I mean, this guy is absolute magic. And to think, people were saying we should sell Pedri, that Pedri sucked, that he's always injured. Can you imagine? Whew, another masterclass by Pedri. And honestly, I'm just lost for words because this guy he's Iniesta reincarnated, which is weird to say because Iniesta's not dead. But I mean, we're seeing it again at a much, much younger age. Remember, Iniesta didn't really start doing the things that he did until he was 25, 26. Pedri's doing it at 21. I can't even imagine what Pedri's going to be capable of doing when he reaches his prime. Masterclass by Pedri. But that's all I have to say. I don't want to make it any longer. Great performance by Barcelona. Totally dominating performance by Barcelona. 40 shots. Again, the only reason Mallorca didn't leave with like 6, 7 goals against them is because Barcelona were missing a lot. But that in football happens. Barcelona missed, yes, but that in football sometimes happens. The ball doesn't want to go in. It wasn't as a result of bad play. Wasn't as a result of bad performance. The team dominated. They created chances. Unfortunately, the ball didn't want to go in, but the important thing, we got the victory. We got 3 important points, and this is very, 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 very crucial because now the team will go into the Copa del Rey final match well-rested, knowing that La Liga is safe for now and they can focus on the Copa del Rey and the Champions League, and of course, having rediscovered their form, their identity, and I think this team is ready for this Copa del Rey final. I am not worried whatsoever. I'm not nervous. Obviously, things can still happen, but I am not nervous about that match because after today, I see that Barcelona, are out of that batch of bad matches that they had and that they're ready for this weekend. Hopefully, I'm correct. Hopefully, Barcelona will win another trophy and hopefully we'll thrash Real Madrid once again. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the comment section. And then we will end this because I do have to do news videos. All right, we do have donation from Richard, who's always incredibly generous with his donations, always supporting the channel. Thank you so much, my friend, for supporting the channel. Richard says, Mo, my favorite Barca YouTuber, what would you start in 11 against Madrid? Visca Barca. I think against Madrid, we have to go back, obviously, to our gala, 11 gala. It has to be, obviously, Szczesny in goal. Iñigo and Pau Garcia are 2 center backs. Jules Koundé back to the right back. Gerard Martin. I know you guys are going to be saying, wow, Hector 4. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Hector 4, a million times better than Gerard Martin, but he's still not ready yet. He still needs more maturing. So it's going to have to be Gerard Martin as a left back. In a midfield, I would do Pedri, Frankie with Dani Olmo in front of him. And obviously our attack in front, Lamine, Rafinha, and Ferran Torres. That will be my starting 11. I want to hear you guys' starting 11. Let me know in the chat section Who would you guys start against Madrid during this weekend in the Copa del Rey final? And my man Cornell says, yes, sir. What an intense offensive outpouring. But that line score did not reflect. I know it's crazy. Again, if you didn't watch the match and you just saw the score line, you're thinking, oh, wow, Barcelona must have struggled. Damn, Barcelona barely won. And then you watch the match and it was just like a total domination. I mean, Barcelona was just camped out in Mallorca's half, like camped out. Again, Chesney could have went home and then came back at the end, and Mallorca would have still had 0 goals. Uncle Joe says, hey, Mo, watching from Guyana, keep up the great work. Will Balde make it back time for the Copa Finals? The answer is no. And Javan says, I've always wondered why Flick hasn't used Araujo at right back. Eric was a beautiful surprise at right back, though. Ansu didn't do so bad. Thoughts? So I just gave my thoughts. I don't want to be repetitive, but I thought Ansu had a good match. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. Good enough match. He definitely lacks intensity, and I can see why Flick doesn't rotate him, doesn't use him as much, because he definitely lacks that intensity. Carlos says it's absolutely important being able to win with these many rotations. Key win. 100% agree with you, because now the players will be well rested mentally, physically for the Copa del Rey final. I'm hoping that tomorrow Getafe give Real Madrid a hard time, because if they do, that means Real Madrid are going to have to use their starting 11. That means that the starting 11 are going to have to exert themselves, run a lot, get tired, and then they can arrive in the Copa del Rey final tired. But either way, I'm not worried. Real Madrid could arrive tired. They could arrive well rested. They can have all their starters. They can have all their players injured. It doesn't matter. I think this Barcelona can compete with anyone. Emmanuel says, Mo, how are you doing, bro? I'm so happy for my man Fati. Yeah, it was good to see him getting some minutes. We'll see if he gets more minutes, but it was definitely good to see him on the field again. Doozy says Gabi's a good number 6. He needed for his edge. 100%. I think Gabi next to Pedri was, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And Richard says, great win, great result. The score doesn't reflect the actual domination. Visca Barça. Amen, my friend. Visca Barça. Not a funny guy. Says it's absolutely important being able to win with these many rotations. Oh, wait. Did I just read that? Or did you write that twice? But yes, I agree with you, my friend. And Sean says, good night, Mo. Today was a good game. A bit wasteful in front of goal, but very happy with the win. Plus, Ansu and Fort had very good game today, especially Fort. I will start him Saturday game. No, I don't think Fort is ready to start a big match like that. I think, and this is very important, right? This is where a lot of times careers are ruined, because some coaches think the same way as the fans sometimes. They're just like, oh, he had a good match. Let's see. Like, no. You have to do it slowly. You have to build up. You can't just throw them into a final and be in a Copa del Rey. I'm sorry, against Real Madrid. You just can't do that. You have to build them up slowly. You start against a weaker opponent, some minutes. Then you give them more minutes. Then more minutes. Then you give them an opponent that's a little bit stronger, like maybe a mid-table team. Same thing, a little bit of minutes. Then more, and then you slowly introduce them against the bigger opponents. You don't go from like, oh, you played a few minutes, some minutes against Mallorca. Now you're gonna start against Real Madrid in a Copa. No, you don't do that, because that's how they get nervous. That's how they make mistakes, and then that's gonna affect their confidence in themselves. That's gonna turn the fans against them, because like, oh, look, this guy sucks. Look at all the mistakes he made against Madrid. So that only affects his confidence more. He gets his own head. It's downward spiral, and boom, it all implodes. You don't do that. You slowly build up upon the success. Today, Fort had good minutes. Let's build upon that. Let's give him a little bit more minutes. Again, maybe a little bit of stronger opponent. You don't throw him into a final against Real Madrid. That is a rookie mistake. Hector says, what's up, Mo? Good match today. Players, we rotated. Players gained confidence. Defense was on lock. Missing Lewa, but great to see we are creating. We just need to finish. Visca Barça. Let's get the cup. Amen, my friend. 100% agree with everything you had to say. Let's see. Street Fighter says, let's make it 60 shots against Inter and Madrid. I mean, we don't have to make it 60 shots. We just have to convert more shots, right? I mean, you can still make it 40 against Real Madrid, but I mean, shit, at least convert 4 of them, 5 of them, right? And then we're good to go. Thomas says, hi, Mo. I'm Thomas Tamba Jr. from Liberia. How do you rate Ansu Fati and Hector Fort performance in today's match? Again, I just mentioned it. I don't want to be repetitive. I really liked Hector Fort minutes. He still needs a little bit more experience, more maturing. Ansu Fati, to me, it was okay. He wasn't disappointing, but he wasn't absolutely great either. Mantamante says, Mo, do you think it's strange Flick gave 4 Infatti playing time after this behavior? I think so. But I think he didn't have another choice. I think he was thinking, all right, I got the Copa del Rey final. I have to focus on that. This is our chance of winning the second trophy of the season. I think that's what he was saying. He was like, all right, if I have to like swallow my ego or whatever, then maybe this is the best for the team. After all, Flick, all he could do is think what's best for the team. George Salt says, Mo, I'm King Salt from Ghana. I want to suggest whether Flick will try David Oduro at the left back to see his capabilities. Too good. Good morning. Oduro's not there yet. Oduro's just arrived in the club. He's still, still getting adapted. He's still learning the new concepts of how to play for Barcelona. He's nowhere close to being ready for the first team. Let's give him some time. Same thing I'd say about Fort, I'll say about Oduro. You cannot rush these things. That's how you ruin careers. You cannot rush these things. You need patience. You need to build upon success and take your time. Not everybody's Lamine Yamal. Not everybody's Pau Cubarsí who can go from Juvenil into the first team like nothing. Those are the exceptions, not the rule. Most players, the great majority of players, they need to slowly build up and slowly work their way up into first division football against big teams. Most players need that. Only very, very few players, Lamine, Cubarsí, Messi, very, very few players can just jump into first division and keep going. Even Messi did not jump into first division. Messi was a sub at first. He was being given a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and slowly worked his way up. Patience, my friends. Richard says, Mo, good point about not starting Fort against Madrid. Case study example, Marc Bartra against Madrid in 2012 Copa final. He was never same afterwards. 100%, my friend. And this mistake happens a lot, believe it or not. A player gets some good minutes, and then all of a sudden, the coach thinks, he's ready for a final. And it's like, no. You have to build up to that point. Physically, because Real Madrid are 10 times more talented than Mallorca. So, you got to get there physically. You might be able to mark or get the ball or dribble past a Mallorca player. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to do that against a Real Madrid player. You have to hone your skills to get to that point where you can compete head-to-head against a Real Madrid player, because these are different caliber players, right? That's the physical side. Then there's the mental side, right? You also have to build mental strength up to that point. One thing is to go out there and play a La Liga match against Mallorca. Completely new story is to play a final against Real Madrid. So you have to build up both the physical and the mental side before you can get to that kind of matches. If you don't, you're going to jump in, you're not ready. And if you're not ready, you're going to get cooked. You're going to start doubting yourself. The fans are going to turn against you. It's going to make you doubt yourself even more and then you start playing other matches, and then you're being haunted by what you did in the other match. So then you're going to make even more mistakes, which they're going to haunt you even more. And it's just a downward spiral, and it's not a good thing to be in. So no, we cannot just throw in Hector Ford into the final. We cannot just throw David Oduro into the first team. We have to build up to these things. B says, Flick is by far the best signing experience and mentally a match. We got him 10 years earlier. No player would have been wasted. Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is Laporta was considering Flick, right? Laporta, when he was running for presidency, he spoke with, oh my God, I'm completely blanking on his name. He's the Austrian coach now. He's the coach for the Austrian national team. It's going to bother me, so I'm going to have to look it up. Austria football coach. Ragnick. So during his, while he was a candidate, Laporta spoke with Ragnick and said, look, I'm considering a German coach. What do you think? And Ragnick said, absolutely. Germans right now, as far as coaching, they're a whole nother level. You should consider Flick. And and Laporta was like, okay, I'm considering Flick, but I'm also considering, what's his name? The Liverpool. I'm so tired. I can't think of names. Help me out, guys. The former Liverpool coach. He's now in charge of the Red Bull teams. Not as a coach, but as overlooking like their academy and stuff. Oh my God, this is bothering me. Klopp, thank you, Troop Klopp. So Laporta was like, I'm also considering Klopp, and there was these other names, and Ragnick said, no, it's Flick. Flick is who you want. And Laporta had set his mind on Flick, But then Victor Font, who was opposing Laporta, part of his whole campaign was like that he was going to bring Xabi, right? And the Sochis, the fans, they got really excited because, I mean, we were all excited. I was super excited. Xabi fucking Hernandez, one of our greatest midfielders ever, was going to come and coach Barcelona. I mean, we all thought this is going to be a genius thing to do, right? Because Xabi is Barca, right? If you were to slice Xabi's arm open, his blood would come out red and blue, right? Xabi is as culé as the crest itself. I mean, this is a guy who came up through the academy, a guy that spent his whole career at Barca, a guy that won everything there is to win with Barca: Champions League, UEFA Super Cup, Club World Cup, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Spanish Super. I mean, he won it all multiple times. So you're like, if there's anyone who knows Barca DNA, Barca style of play, is Xabi. He was the best at it, right? So Victor Font runs on the whole platform that he's going to bring Xabi. Socios get excited. Fans get excited. Laporta wins. And it was Laporta's idea to bring Flick. But by then, the cat was out of the bag, right? Everybody wanted Xabi. So Laporta was like, all right, we'll bring Xabi. We all know how that turned out. Like, can you imagine if Laporta would have brought Flick from the beginning? I mean, this is his first year. This is technically a construction, a building phase, building year, whatever you want to call it. And look how we're doing. Can you imagine if Flick would have started building this team 3-4 seasons ago? I mean, right now we would be flying. But anyways, I don't want to make it any longer. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your generous donations. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really, really helps the channel grow. It prompts the YouTube algorithm to promote the video to people who've never seen it, and it's completely free. All you have to do is click. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will be uploading some news videos later on, so we'll see you guys in those videos. And as always, Visca Barça.